Hey guys, and welcome to the Naughty Secret. In my last video, I gave you guys exactly what you needed to look for when buying yarn as a beginner, especially as someone who's just starting out. Now in this video, I'm going to tell you the very types of yarns you want to avoid if you're a beginner. Also why you want to avoid it and when you can start using these yarns in your crochet journey. So if you're a beginner, if you're new here, stick around. This can be very helpful for you. And while you're at it, you can help me by subscribing to my channel and clicking on that notification bell, because I'm going to have more videos like these as well as many more pattern tutorials that are beginner friendly coming on this channel. All right, let's get started. The first kind of yarn that you want to avoid is dark colored yarn or multicolored or variegated yarns. Now, the reasons for why you want to avoid these are I've already mentioned in my previous video. I'll link it down below. Go watch that. But just to say, stick with solid colors and light colors. Now, you can move to variegated or multicolored yarns fairly quickly. Once you've learned all your basic stitches, it's going to be really easy for you to move on to those kind of yarns. But when it comes to dark colored yarns, especially black yarn, even the most experienced crocheter has trouble with those. So I would say gradually go darker and darker until you've gained the confidence and the competence enough to challenge yourself with some black yarn. The second kind of yarn that you really want to avoid is fuzzy yarns. What do I mean by fuzzy yarns? Well, these are basically yarns where along the yarn strand, you see a lot of these little fibers that create kind of a halo effect. Now, this halo effect actually gives these yarns a beautiful look, especially when you make garments out of them or other crochet products out of them. But here's the thing, this halo effect also makes these yarns very challenging to work with, even for experts. Yarns that have these kind of little fibers tend to be really temperamental. Now, when your hook is moving in and out of these yarns, those tiny little fibers tend to knot amongst themselves and create friction with your hook, which makes it really hard for you to crochet smoothly. So while you're learning, this can just add to the challenge of already learning how to crochet. Secondly, these yarns are a pain to frog. They keep getting caught in themselves, they get stuck, they get knotted, and sometimes if you tug too hard, they can snap as well. And these are just not issues you want to have when you're starting your crochet journey. So I would say avoid these yarns, gain good competence in crochet, become a bit experienced, learn all your basic stitches, and also be able to read and follow a pattern fairly well before you start using these kind of yarns. Now, the next type of yarn you want to avoid is your fancy yarns. Now, these include yarns like your velvet yarns, your plushy yarns, tape yarns, or paper yarns, as well as your t-shirt yarns. Now, why do you want to avoid velvet yarns and plushy yarns? Because those yarns are very fluffy and that fluff itself makes the stitches hard to see. And that's a problem when you're starting off crochet, because you really need to be able to see your stitches, otherwise you're going to be making mistakes. And other reason you want to avoid these kind of yarns is also because these yarns tend to pill off very easily, and they even tend to pill off so badly that you'll just be left with a tiny strand of thread at the end. These yarns cannot be frogged very often. Every time you frog, you damage the yarn. And so when you're a beginner, when you're going to be frogging more often and making more mistakes, these yarns are not helpful for you, and you're also going to ruin them. So it's going to be a waste of yarn. So wait till you've gained a good experience, especially wait till you've gained a sort of rhythm with putting in your stitches and it's become more of a muscle memory to you, so that you don't make as many mistakes and you'll feel comfortable and confident using, velvet and plushy yarns. Now, when it comes to tape yarn or these papery raffy yarns, the problem with these yarns is they're very delicate and they tend to snap very easily. And when you're still learning how to have steady tension and put consistent stitches, these yarns are just not helpful. They're going to make your crochet journey frustrating, and you're also going to keep snapping this yarn and breaking it, which is a waste of yarn. So you really want to gain good experience before you start using these kind of yarns. When it comes to your t-shirt yarns, they're very stretchy. And because they're stretchy, keeping consistent tension as it is hard. So when you've already not learned how to keep consistent tension and you're going for a yarn where keeping consistent tension is more challenging than usual, you are going to not only get frustrated, but you're going to have a lot of pain on your palm and wrist. T-shirt yarns are harder to crochet with as it is, and when you are struggling with it, you're going to put more strain on the wrong parts of your hand, on your palm and your wrist, and that's going to be painful for you, and your whole experience is not only going to be unpleasant but also painful. So you really want to avoid this yarn, your t-shirt yarn, until you've learned properly how to maintain tension throughout your project and put even stitches. The next kind of yarns that you want to avoid, it's going to kind of be controversial, but I think it's best you avoid it when you start your crochet journey, and that is plant fiber yarns. Now these yarns include things like cotton, linen, hemp, or your rayon fibers, which are biosynthetic plant fibers like your viscose, bamboo, and lyocell, also known as tencel in some places. Why do you want to avoid these yarns? Now, with the exception of mercerized cotton, which I've mentioned in my previous video, all of these other yarns have certain properties that make them harder to crochet with and therefore make it harder for a beginner to learn on. Now, when it comes to yarns like cotton, linen, and hemp, these are beautiful fibers, especially for garments, but they are rough fibers, especially natural cotton and linen and hemp are all rough fibers. And rough fibers don't move easily along your hook. And that itself can be such a frustrating experience. But you don't have to worry because you don't have to wait too long to start off, at least using cotton. Once you've gained a little bit of experience moving your hook in and out of projects, and you've got a good flow of how you need to hold your hook, hold your yarn, and place your stitches, you can start using even natural cotton fairly quickly. Now, I would hold off on the linen and hemp, and I'll tell you why, because these fall into my next point. But natural cotton for sure you can use fairly quickly once you've learned how to crochet. You don't have to be fully experienced to start using something like cotton. Now, with regards to yarn like bamboo and viscose and lyocell, you have the opposite problem. They are very slippery yarns, and slippery yarns are very temperamental on your hook. They don't stay on your hook, and every time you put a stitch in, it's going to slip off your hook if you're not able to hold the tension properly. So these are definitely yarns that you will only want to use once you gain good experience crocheting, especially once you gain good experience holding steady tension, putting proper, consistent, even stitches, and being able to kind of have that muscle memory of moving your hook in and out of stitches. Then you can start trying bamboo and lyocell and viscose, and these slippery yarns will be easier to work with. Now, my final category of yarns to avoid are expensive yarns. I think it's a no-brainer that you don't want to be spending a lot of money when you're learning something. You want to go for more affordable options first, but there are also other reasons why you want to avoid expensive yarns. What falls under this category of expensive? Remember, I talked about linen and hemp. Yes, they would fall under this category. And so would yarns like your alpacas and other expensive wools, yak, angora and so on, your mohair, and also silk. All of these fall under the expensive yarn categories. And other than simply just the price point, there are also other characteristics that make these yarns difficult to crochet with. Now, we've already talked about linen and hemp, but even your other yarns, like much of your woolen yarns, do have a lot of fuzz on them, which create that halo effect. Even if not a lot, even a little bit of that fuzz can make crocheting difficult, as I've mentioned in my previous point. Now, another reason you don't want to go for these yarns is because more expensive yarns are also way more delicate. And the more delicate your yarn is, the more likely it is to split on you, which is that those individual strands of thread that are spun together to make your yarn tend to come apart from each other. They're also very delicate, so they're more likely to snap or break. And this really is a problem. If you're a beginner, you really don't want to be spending so much money on yarns that snap on you easily, especially when you're learning. That's just not fun. So these expensive yarns you really want to keep for much, much later in your crochet journey. You want to first learn how to do crochet really well, gain a good amount of experience, try all of the more affordable yarns first, and when you're confident and competent enough, go for the expensive yarns. There is really no big challenge in going for the expensive yarns as opposed to some more affordable ones, but they are definitely more delicate and you have to take care of them a lot better. Also, the finished products need to be cared for better as well. You most often cannot wash these products in the washing machine. They need to either be hand washed or they need to be given for dry cleaning and things like that. So the maintenance of these yarns is just a lot more work. So you really want to wait a long time before you start with these. Alright, with that I have given you all of the different types of yarns that you really want to avoid as a beginner. And I've also told you when you can go ahead and start using them. I really hope that this video was helpful to you, and I hope it gave you more confidence in your crochet journey. Very often it's not you but the yarn that you're using that makes your crochet journey harder, and I hope this video helped figure that out for you. Now if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this as well as more tutorials that are beginner friendly, please like this video, subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. With that, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video.